Hello everyone, welcome to Lost in the Reel. Today was day 2 of Sundance and I saw 3 films that I am going to be reviewing for you today. The first one is the animated film Cryptozoo, the second is How It Ends, and the third film is On the Count of 3. Let's get started. Cryptozoo is a fully animated feature completely hand-drawn with watercolors and also completely independently produced. It is written and directed by Shawn, and the animation director is Jane Samborski. Cryptozoo is all about Lauren Gray, a self-made vigilante for cryptid creatures who sets out on a quest with a gorgon, kind of like a Medusa, humanoid, to find a cryptid from her past that can suck nightmares from your mind that is being hunted by the military. This sets off in motion a disaster at the Cryptozoo, which is a refuge for those cryptids, and the world of these supposed imaginary creatures may never be the same again. First and foremost, I have to start with the animation. This is such a singular piece of work. It is unlike anything I've ever seen before. We're so used to computer animated animation with Pixar or even the hand-drawn animation from Studio Ghibli, but this is an art style all of its own, and it's so exciting to see something different. It might not be for everyone because sometimes the animation is a little choppy, but you can just tell in every single frame the painstaking work that went into making this come alive. Right at the beginning of this film, you are going to realize that you probably won't know what the hell is going on throughout the entirety of the film. And that's okay, because you know that this is just going to be one psychedelic trippy mind trip. In the first couple of minutes, we get a butt-ass naked couple having sex in the woods who smoke a doobie and then get attacked by a unicorn. And that really sets the tone for the rest of the film. There are so many moments in Cryptozoo that just feel so very special. It's almost like you want to tell the directors to just pause the film because you want to live in those moments for just a little bit longer. The creativity and imagination that's pulsing through this film's veins just almost have this hypnotizing effect on the audience. There are a lot of messages and themes sprinkled throughout Cryptozoo, but the one thing that really stuck with me is a question that the film kind of asks its audience. Can you keep your corporate interests whilst not compromising your progressivism? Lauren Gray cares deeply for these cryptids and wants them to be happy and for them to be safe. But for her to ensure that, she needs to put them in the Cryptozoo, which is basically like a theme park, like a Jurassic Park almost, but for these cryptid animals. And the thing is she really compromising what she believes in to keep them safe? That's a question you'll have to ask yourself. Though I absolutely love this film, I do believe that it cannot handle the weight of its own ambition. It builds and builds and builds, and it kind of gets to this finale that is so overstuffed and all over the place and feels kind of messy that it just can't pull off what it's trying to pull off, and that is unfortunate, but I give it so many props for trying nonetheless. So this movie is not going to be for everybody. This is very adults only, meaning that there is graphic violence, full frontal nudity, and sex, even though it's all animated. And also the animation style won't be for everybody as well. But if you are a fan of independent animation, you have got to see this movie. So, even though it falls to the weight of its own ambition, Cryptozoo is a zany, imaginative, creative mind trip that takes you to a whole nother world for an hour and a half, and I did fall head over heels for it. So, I will be giving it 3.5 unicorn horns out of 5. I'm going to be going over the third film that I saw at Sundance, How It Ends, which begs the question, if you had one more day left to live because of the impending apocalypse, what would you do with your time left? How It Ends was written and directed by Zoe Lister-Jones and Daryl Wein, and also stars Zoe Lister-Jones as well as Cailee Spaeny. The film is all about a young woman named Liza who wakes up on the last day before the world ends. She is joined by her younger self, and the two of them trek across Los Angeles to get to an end-of-the-world party. All the while, they meet a bunch of random kooky strangers along the way. This film has an absolutely stacked cast with Bradley Whitford, Olivia Wilde, Lamorne Morris, Fred Armisen, Kevin Nealon, Finn Wolfhard, Nick Kroll, Logan Marshall Green, Helen Hunt, Glenn Howerton, Colin Hanks, Charlie Day, and even Pauly Shore. All of these actors are relegated to cameos in this film, and every time one of them shows up, there's almost a little vignette where they interact with our two lead actresses, get a few laughs, and then we move on our merry way. The thing with this setup is that some of these vignettes are going to work better than others. We have Lamorne Morris, who absolutely steals the show as Liza's ex-boyfriend for the couple of moments that he has. And also the scene between Olivia Wilde and Zoe Lister-Jones is fantastic. They're two old friends who are trying to rekindle their friendship. I absolutely loved this scene. I think that the plot device of having a physical version of Liza's younger self really works in this film's favor and makes it something different than what we're used to in films like this. Her younger self is almost like stuck in a purgatory of not being able to move on, and so she makes Liza self-reflect on certain things before the world ends, like her mistakes, like her regrets, like friendships that she never should have let go, and also people in her life that she should have stuck up to. There's also a really great message about self-love and accepting yourself that really hit home for me. Unfortunately, a lot of the emotional moments in this film feel very strained, like they're not coming from an organic place, and also just most of the humor did not land. I think I only chuckled a couple of times throughout the entirety of the film. This was filmed during the pandemic, and it very much so seems like a pandemic-era film. Like Let Them All Talk and Songbird and Lockdown before it, How It Ends really feels like it lacks a personal connection. There's all of these vignettes, some of them work and some of them don't, but none of them come together to make you feel like it completes a whole. How It Ends just feels very aimless and wandering. It's almost as if a bunch of buddies got together and made a movie for fun because they had nothing to do during the pandemic. So, unfortunately, I'm going to be giving How It Ends 2.5 breakfast sandwiches out of 5. There were a couple of moments that really worked for me in this film, but it just did not come together in the end. The fourth film that I saw at Sundance, On the Count of Three. This film deals with suicide, mental health, depression, and dealing with past trauma. It's also a comedy. On the Count of Three was directed by Gerard Carmichael in his directorial debut, and it also stars him, as well as Christopher Abbott, J.B. Smoove, Tiffany Haddish, and Henry Winkler. The movie is all about two best friends who have hit the end of their rope. They've decided on a suicide pact, and at the end of the day, they are going to shoot each other. The film chronicles the last couple of hours as they reconcile their past before they do the deed. I couldn't help but think, as this film was going forward, that it mirrors How It Ends, the last film that I saw at Sundance, so much because it deals with two characters that are reconciling with their past and with others who have either done them wrong or they've done wrong too. As an audience, you feel so uneasy throughout because you keep going back and forth if both of them or either of them are actually going to go through with this suicide pact. I really thought that the movie dealt with mental health in such a way that did not shy away from the subject matter and did not play it safe. On the Count of Three is really truly an ode to friendship, albeit a very dark and somber one. In anyone else's hands, these characters would have felt so unrelatable and selfish, but Abbott and Carmichael have such chemistry with each other. They really bring these characters to life, and you do end up feeling for them and hoping and praying that they don't do anything to harm each other. This film is really quite funny. It's one of those things that when you're watching it, you almost feel like you shouldn't be laughing, but you know that it's funny, so you do anyways. The comedy is so biting that the dourness of the film is cut through with a knife by the humor. It is a very difficult tightrope act to balance these two very disparaging tones, but I think because the script is so strong and Carmichael's direction is so assured that somehow they're able to pull it off. I do think, though, that the message is a little muddled and I don't think it lands completely, and the ending is so shocking that I think a lot of people are going to be up in arms about it. But personally, I do appreciate that sugarcoating does not exist in this movie. On the Count of Three is full of rage, helplessness, and heartbreak, but somehow by the end, it's able to find hopefulness, heart, and humor as well. It is anchored by two incredible performances by Gerard Carmichael and Christopher Abbott, who feel like they've been friends for a lifetime. I will be giving On the Count of Three 4 Papa Roach CDs out of 5. Thank you so much, guys, for watching Lost in the Reel. Please make sure to keep checking in with us every single day for more coverage of the Sundance Film Festival. We'll see you soon.